You are listening to PolicyBazaar.ae's The Policy Project. We've got you covered.
Okay, let's start with a reality check. Electric vehicles, EVs, are taking over the roads faster than ever. But while they are sleek, while they are silent, while they are sustainable, ensuring them is becoming a hot topic, especially after the heavy rains last year, which caused major damage to EVs. So, what does this mean for you as an EV owner, or somebody who is considering making the switch? And that's exactly why we are having this podcast today. On the Policy Project, we're going to unpack exactly that. So, welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Sid, your go-to guy for all things insurance. And today, we're talking about the future of cars and how to insure them right here in the UAE. Now, I could sit here all day and ramble about EVs all day and night, but I've got somebody way more smarter than me to help us navigate through this. And our guest today, he is the CEO of Policy Bazaar UAE, Mr. Neeraj Gupta. Welcome, Sirji. Always a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks for having me on the Policy Project. It's always lovely to interact with you.
As always, the feeling is absolutely mutual. Okay, so you've been deep in the trenches of car insurance and you know exactly how the EVs are changing the game. So, are we ready to dive in?
Yes, please. It is the hot topic these days.
Absolutely. Okay, so since it is the hot topic, let's start with the basics. How is insurance for electric vehicles different from conventional car insurances?
See, if you look at an insurance perspective, right, insurance covers the unknown risk. And from that fundamental perspective, nothing changes, right?
Okay.
The only difference being the way electric vehicle works as a conventional vehicle. But from an insurance perspective, it also insures your vehicle against any accidents or something other was to happen, right? So-called floods. So yes, so insurance pretty much is similar. You might have certain added advantages and benefits that's about.
Okay, so coming to the pricing of the insurance product for EVs, we see a higher premium. So could you shed some light as to why the premiums are a little bit on the higher side for them?
So as you rightly said in the introduction, this has been post the floods, right?
Yes.
Majorly what you've seen. Earlier, if you see pre-floods, the pricing was not very different. It was priced as any other vehicle would be. But what happened is during the time of floods, couple of things came about, right? One, the cost of repair for EVs was a lot higher because it's all electronics, which means if there's a water damage, it will not be repaired, it will be replaced. And if you look at the batteries, which constitute a significant portion of the car from a pricing perspective, if the batteries have some water problem, then those needs to be replaced. And as a result, at times, it would go more than 50% of your car value, which means it becomes a total loss. So whereas a conventional car could have been repaired at a much smaller cost, at an EV level, the car would have been a total loss, which leads to higher cost for an insurance company, higher claims being paid out. And as a result, that factor has now come into pricing, right? So as a result, you're seeing increased premiums for electronic vehicles.
Okay, so does that mean that insurers look at EVs a little bit differently?
Yes. See, what is also happening is, EVs is a new trend, right? So currently, obviously, from a repair perspective also, you do not have as wide a network for repair because the skill set required to repair an EV vehicle is very different, right?
Correct.
Whereas the traditional vehicles, you see so many garages, and there are areas in UAE where you see there'll be garages by miles, right? Which are just workshops repairing vehicls. Whereas with EVs, you would rarely see that because those are new, so you don't have enough trained staff in the unorganized sector also. And as a result, there are very limited places where you can get the EV repaired. So that also builds up on the cost. As a result, the insurance companies have started seeing this risk as differently.
Interesting. And thoda time pehle you were talking about the battery, and let's dive a little bit uske andar. Why is the battery coverage crucial in EV insurance policies?
See, what happens is battery is the heart of the vehicle in an EV, right?
Right.
Everything works depends on that, right? Now, on an insurance side, if the batteries are not covered, then you are in a big surprise, right? And now, normal wear and tear, that is why if you look at from a manufacturer perspective, typically most of the EV manufacturers give you 5-year, 8-year warranty on the batteries.
Right.
Because battery is the heart, right? And this will not be covered in the insurance if it was a warranty claim, right? But it covers your accidental claim. Now, as a result, because these are electronics, the chances of these getting repaired are very slim. See, electronics, if you look at it from a very layman's perspective, electronics, typically if it has a water damage, it needs to be replaced. And that is where what happened specifically in EV's case in this country.
Interesting. I think we'll just dive a little bit more into the whole battery coverage and also the replacement costs. So, what are the common repair and replacement costs for the EV batteries, and how does insurance cover them?
So, if you look at a comprehensive insurance, what it covers is it covers any accidental damage. So, if you have an accident and due to which your batteries gets damaged, then it is covered in the insurance policy. Now, typically, if the battery is damaged, it will be needed to be replaced. It will not be repaired, right? And that is where the majority cost comes in. The cost for repairing batteries could go as high as 50,000-70,000 dirhams for a vehicle, or much higher depending on the brand of vehicle you are driving.
Right. And talking about roadside assistance for EVs, when something like that happens, breakdowns happen. So, what role does insurance play in roadside assistance for EV breakdowns or charging issues for that matter?
So typically, as of now, we've not seen road assistance to have the charging stations. So typically, they will tow the vehicle to the nearest charging station if charging is the issue. Currently, it's not going to happen that you call a roadside assistance, it will replace the battery like in a conventional car. They will typically come and replace the battery if you ask for that, or jump start, right?
Right.
Typically, that will not work as seamlessly here. If the batteries have died down and you're stuck, if you call the roadside assistant, they will typically tow the vehicle to the nearest place where they can charge the vehicle.
Achha, now let's talk about the differences in insurance policies between fully electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids.
So good one, Sid, on that, because now you've started seeing plug-in hybrids. Before that, you could see hybrids, but now you're seeing plug-in hybrids. Plug-in hybrids is basically a better version of hybrids where the battery sizes are much bigger, which means they need to be separately charged. But because it's a hybrid, so your car can continue to run on a normal fuel and the battery starts to kick in if it is charged, right? And that is the difference between a plug-in hybrid and an EV, where EV only runs on the electric, only on the battery power, whereas a plug-in hybrid can run on both. So if, for example, you have a plug-in hybrid and your car gets stuck, probably you can just refuel it and be on your way.
Correct.
So that's the difference, primary difference.
True. So now let's talk about the insurance premiums for a second. So with the insurance premiums of the EVs, they are going a little bit towards the upside. What steps can one take to secure the best coverage at the right price?
So one thing, before we were talking about EVs and plug-in hybrids. So at least plug-in hybrids are better priced than EVs, but higher than a conventional car. So the only way you to have better premiums in future is no claims, right? That's the only option currently available, which means you have a no claim history, which essentially means if your car does not have any accidental claims where it's your fault. If it's somebody else's fault, then it's okay. Then it does not impact your no claims discount. But if it's your fault, it impacts. And see, no claim discount can go as high as 20%, right? And if it's the same insurer renewal, it could go as high as 30%. So, which can be a substantial saving. But having said that, the premiums have gone up so significantly up that in no ways you're going to get the premiums, even if you have the no claims discount, closer to what it was probably 18 months ago.
Wow. Okay. Very insightful and very interesting topic for today. Thank you so much, Neeraj. Abhi, let's move on to our next segment, Askaways. Now, this is where we take up FAQs from our listeners and they answer them with the help of our experts. Now, if you too are curious about finance, about insurance, then don't hesitate. Just ask away. Slide into our DMs on Instagram, follow us on Policy Bazaar UAE, or reach out to us via any of the other social media channels, and we'll try our best to answer your questions in the next episode. Today, however, we're tackling the question of electric vehicles and car insurance. So, Neeraj, ready?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
All right. So, the first question is coming in from Saeed Singh. With insurance premiums for EVs increasing, what factors should UAE EV owners consider while selecting a car insurance plan? We've covered this, but a little bit more if you can just shed some light.
Definitely, Sid. So, couple of things that you should see is what does your insurance cover for, and are there any added extra benefits? For example, a couple of insurance companies will also cover your charging cables if they get damaged. Right? Although they're outside your vehicle, but they are an important accessory to make your vehicle work. So
Right.
you can look at those options which cover your charging cables, because those are also significantly costly. And the other
Right.
aspect is from a capability perspective, does your insurer have a history of insuring electric vehicles? Right, that should
Right.
come in handy. Yes.
Okay. And since you touched on the topic of charging cables, Nishant has the somewhat of a similar question. He's asking, does home charging equipment need to be insured separately, or is it covered under a standard auto or a home insurance policy?
So standard auto policy might not cover this. It will definitely not cover it if it is listed as an add-on. Because see, please understand, when you're buying a motor insurance, you're covering whatever is inside the motor. And as you rightly said, these charging equipment is outside the vehicle. So which
Right.
means this needs to be covered via add-on plan.
Right. Okay. Nishant, we hope we got your answer. Fantastic, Aji. So this wraps up this segment. Thank you so much, Neeraj. But listeners, don't go just yet. If you have any questions about finance, about insurance, simply ask away. DM us on Instagram, follow us at Policy Bazaar UAE, or connect to us via any of the other social media channels, and we'll be more than happy to answer all your questions in the next episode. For now, though, we've covered a lot about EVs. We've covered a lot about car insurance for EVs in the UAE. The landscape is ever evolving, and it's important to stay informed. Thank you. Thank you, Neeraj, for all of the discussion and this very, very interesting insight. Pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thanks, Sid. Thank you, Sid. Thanks for having me. And to all the viewers and listeners, please tune into Policy Project for more information on anything related to insurance.
Thank you. That's it for today's episode. See you in the next one.
You were listening to PolicyBazaar.ae's The Policy Project. We've got you covered.